I've had the Insta360 Luna for a couple of weeks now, and with it being a first generation product, there's obviously going to be some ups and downs as they figure things out. There's been some firmware updates that have rectified some of the issues that I've had, but there's still some things that are just kind of buggy about it. So in this updated video, I did my first 48 hours video a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm going to update it with this video, just talking about what I still like about the camera, what I think the camera could do better at, and just the pocket camera genre overall, how it's going to evolve, especially here in the US. So let's lead with love, right? Let's start with the positives. Image quality. Image quality is dope, whether you're in auto, all auto, everything like I did in my first 48-hour video, or once you even get into the settings to start tweaking it. Even if you do standard versus iLog. iLog, and here's a little workaround. If you don't want to deal with the LUTs and the color grading stuff, you can have the film sims baked in as a LUT on the iLog. So they come with 9 film sims, 6 of which you can adjust, 3 of which are the ones that are like a branded, which you cannot adjust. They're 100% full bore, right? That flexibility and versatility I think is really important, especially again, you're on the go. This is like a pocket camera, a travel camera. It's not meant to be a locked off studio cam. You can do that if you want, but like the fact that you could just add on a film sim real quick, even on iLog, and just go about it and shoot your content, really dope. Really dope. So I love that about this camera. Another positive is the frame rates. The fact that you could get the 4K 120 and even the 1080 240p. And while the 1080 240p is good enough, the 4K 120 is really good. Really good. I've had a really good time shooting at 4K 120 frames per second, whether it's in the regular mode or in the dedicated slow-mo mode. I haven't found any real difference with that. But 4K 120 out of this camera is extremely clean, crisp. The color rendering is great. There's no line skipping or anything like that. I think it's really dope that you can use this as a B-roll for products, a B-roll for action, and it looks so dope. The remote is still a really good feature, really dope feature, but it also leads me into some of my negatives because while it's a 3-in-1 product, right? You have the remote control aspect of it, you had the monitoring aspect of it, and then you had the built-in microphone. And while the latest update claims to have fixed a lot of the issues most people have had with the remote, it's still one issue that to me claimed was fixed that I haven't really noticed yet. Maybe it's just going to take a minute for me to use it more for me to notice a real difference, but the battery drain on the remote is a real thing. Like I've had both things charged up and I will go out shooting, and then after a few minutes and I try to detach the microphone itself has been greatly reduced in terms of battery percentage, where the camera might be at 70%, but the remote might be at 30%. And you can't charge the remote independently. So it needs the camera to charge. So it just kind of makes it difficult to shoot. Like I've had a couple of shoots where I'm using the screen as a microphone, and I've had to stop recording because the camera won't keep recording because the battery drain on the remote was so fast. One stringer found out he was being gained up, he was being used. He tried to leverage the street. Now, since this firmware, I haven't seen that much of a difference. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need to figure something out with Insta360, but for me so far, I have not noticed that much of a thing. And it really kind of hinders, I think, the standalone feature of this product. Look, the remote is going to be the main feature of this camera, the standout feature of this product. It's probably going to be the reason why you choose this product over any other offering in this genre, right? So if the battery drain is going to make it so it's difficult for you to use the standalone feature, then why would you continue to use this product, right? So they need to really fix that. Like maybe it's just mine. I'll keep monitoring it, but for me, I have not noticed any drastic improvement in terms of the battery on the remote when it's not attached to the camera itself. Auto exposure. The auto exposure has driven me mad. It shifts so much when you're trying to keep it on auto, when you're just trying to just have the camera be a pocket camera, when you don't want to have to dial in every single setting. And I think that's where we kind of keep towing the line of, is this meant to be a high-level cinematic camera, or is this just meant to be a grab and go, do whatever camera? If you're trying to use it in its auto features, the auto features, especially the exposure, it goes crazy. It's all over the place. I've done locked off shots indoors with, central lighting, standardized lighting, nothing shifting, and the auto exposure will just shift as I move around. And I'm like, it shouldn't be doing that. It should not adjust so crazy. It might be some micro adjustments, but it's huge shifts within the exposure and it's noticeable. Another thing with the exposure is you have to underexpose on this camera, at least for my experience. Through my experience with it, for the first couple of weeks, you have to underexpose. So when I first did my first 48-hour video, I had everything on auto. So the auto exposure meter was at 0.0. I now do everything at 0.7 or even 0 -1. So 0 -0.7 or 0 -1, because the auto just it overexposes everything and it just looks more like a cell phone at times. So the exposure, I mean, that's something you could just dial in yourself. I don't know if that's something they need to fix necessarily in firmware. Maybe they could just tone it down just a little bit. Like that's going -0.7 on a pocket camera. It's kind of wild that you have to do that on the Osmo Pocket 3. I only had to do like minus zero point 0.3 to get the exposure at a good, reasonable level, but to have to go to 0.7 and sometimes -1 is kind of crazy. So I don't know what they could do in another firmware update, but I don't think you should have to go to -0.7 or -1 just to get a even plane in terms of being exposed. The recent firmware update has allowed for the iLog to now have a preview, a LUT preview, right? So just a Rec 709, but that's an additional feature. But again, that helps for the more cinematic piece. I think with the pocket camera genre, we're kind of dancing that line, like I mentioned earlier, and they're giving us more cinematic tools, but I still want them to dial in some of those normal prosumer features like the exposure stuff on auto. Like I think if Insta360, if they were to listen to me, which they're probably not, but let's just put it out there in the ether anyway. Yes, we want to get the cinematic tools, and I think that's, they're battling DJI when it comes to that, and that's the competition piece because, cinematographers, DPs, filmographers want to use this camera as their B cam on sets and stuff like that. But let's not ignore the prosumer who is going to be in auto, who is just looking to do a quick clip real fast just to do something. Let's not ignore them. Not everyone's going to have the time to sit and dial in every single setting to set up a shot. Let's not ignore the auto features. I think if they dial in some of the auto stuff, that could just make this a set it and forget it type of camera. I think they'll go a very long way into being super, super popular. Like right now, the FCC is helping them become super popular here in the US anyway, because the FCC has recently decided that they're not going to allow Extra, the DJI shell company, allegedly, to be able to continue to sell their products here. So right now, for a dual lens pocket gimbal camera, the Insta360 Luna Ultra is the only option you have here in the US. So be that as it may, they could just chill and just be like, well, we're the only game in town. We don't need to update too much. So it's cool that they're doing updates, but I think they're doing updates that are only primarily for people that are trying to push the limits of the camera. While they should take care of them, let's also take care of the people that are just trying to use this thing on auto, want to get quick clips and use it in a more ease of use type functional type way. So I don't know. I think this camera is still really dope, still flushing it through and stuff like that. But there's obviously, with it being a first gen product, there's going to be the ups and downs. Obviously, if you look at what the DJI Osmo Pocket 1 was compared to what we have in the 4 and the 4P, night and day difference, right? So I think with this first generation, it's a really strong first attempt, a really dope first attempt. And the fact that they had the removable screen that is a 3-in-1 type of deal, that's the innovation we want to see. I just think now that they're getting the feedback from all the creators online, okay, let's start to implement some of that stuff. And they're doing it on the high end in terms of the cinematic stuff, but let's not forget the prosumers that want to just use this as an everyday EDC type of camera. So that's my thoughts for now. Still flushing this out, still pushing it through, still trying to do more creative stuff with it. If you want to follow along with that journey, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing more content on it. I don't know if I'll be doing a full review, long-term review or whatever, but as I keep finding out stuff, I'll keep jumping on here and letting you guys know. So if you want to be a part of that journey, go ahead and subscribe. I go by the name of the CMD. This has been Shield Free Tech. I'll see you again very soon.